I think I'm recording. Yeah, I'm recording as
Yep,
well.
excellent.
Okay.
Okay, let's begin. Ladies and gentlemen, our warmest greetings to you. I hope you're all doing really, really well and that you've had a wonderful Christmas. And in advance, I would like to wish a spectacular 2025 for all of you. You most certainly deserve the absolute best, and may this come to pass. Today, we thought we'll talk a little bit about pyramids, these wonderful enigmatic structures
Can,
peppered
can
around the planet.
can we start on the crystal bowls first? The
Yeah,
most
absolutely.
exciting part.
Oh yes, of course. That's very, very prudent. Let's do so. So
Yeah.
clearing the energy and making sure we don't have any interference of any kind. Okay, make
Physical
sure
or spiritual?
physical or spiritual or of the naughty kind.
Like yesterday. Can you hear it, by the way?
I can't hear it. I think it might be filtered out.
Let me have a look then. Yeah.
Original sound for musicians on Zoom. There we go.
Can hear it. Yeah. Right, good. I don't know why they do that. You can
It's
hear that,
very,
yeah.
very
Hmm?
dampened. It's very dampened.
That's very loud on here.
Yeah, I think it's getting filtered out.
So what would you put it on? Echo cancellation. Let's see if it's
No,
that.
you would go to original sound for musicians.
That's what I'm on.
Okay,
Can you hear it better now?
better now. Yes,
It
yes,
it
yes.
had it had echo cancellation.
Okay, so figuring out Zoom. So let's go.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, pyramids. Well, what are these things? There seems to be loads of them. As far as we know, they're um, spread across Africa, Europe, and Asia, and also America. And so, as far as we know, similar structures have been found on Antarctica.
Mm.
And the country with the greatest number of pyramids is Sudan. So, let's start about what we think these things are.
Yeah, I do think there's tens of thousands, and there's probably tens of thousands in America on its own.
Yeah.
But you see them in the distance. I've got a picture of Vietnam. My daughter went there, and I said, "Oh,
Yes.
there's a pyramid in the background." She said, "Just an L." I said, "Just look at it. It's it's a pyramid shape."
Yeah. And so very,
And
very quickly they get covered with vegetation.
mm,
So it's sometimes difficult to make out the smooth edges. It needs some cleaning up for the full glory and the beauty of the structure to be revealed.
mm,
But yeah, it seems that they're pretty much everywhere.
mm. I've got four headings. Why were they built? How were they built? Who built them? And what did they initially look like? Because obviously these are built might be 100,000 years ago. We just don't know.
And so let's add another thing. What do they do?
Yeah,
Because
well, that's
they're
why.
built
Why
for a
were they built?
purpose.
Yeah,
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 yeah. Okay, so let's shoot at each bullet point one at a time.
yeah.
So the first one is it the purpose of them?
Hmm.
Well, um, the shape is very interesting. So it would become a, let's say, a gatherer of energy.
Hmm.
Uh, Energy from the surrounding would be pulled in and trapped in, and then guided through the smooth edges, reflected into, let's say, a central chamber, and then that could be utilized for different things. We see this with Vogel crystals. So I've been talking with many wonderful, wonderful people. So the Vogel crystal has a, let's say, 55-degree base and a 65-degree tip. So the 55-degree, this is a reflection of what is used in the Great Pyramid of Giza. So this seems to collect energy, and then you can
I
set
think
it
it
out.
collects the ether, doesn't it? More than anything, it collects the energy from the sky, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the dimensions of the pyramids are also important. So at its peak, the pyramid would have been 146 meters tall.
Mm.
Now that's interesting when it comes to electromagnetics. So a dipole, yes, 146 and a half meters tall. This is just going to Google. And the wavelength that we would use would be twice that. So 293 meters. And so that is associated with the frequency of 1 megahertz. Now, this is an interesting frequency. I'm just going to again go to Google and read some of the applications of the megahertz band. So it's relevant in computation. We've got radio channels at the megahertz range. More specifically, the 1 megahertz is ultra low frequency, long wavelengths. These travel through the entire planet, through the crust of the earth and through the oceans. So whatever the initial purpose of these devices, these pyramids were, it was meant to have a long reach. And so megahertz frequencies, let's see. So they're related to Earth's magnetic field fluctuations. It could be used to stabilize them or destabilize them. So they were a safeguard, but also could be used as a weapon. Mineral exploration uses ultra-low frequency. Again, earthquake prediction. It could be used to calm down or agitate the natural plates on the surface of the globe, causing earthquakes. More than that, it's used bioelectromagnetics, so it would work on the human body, influence the human body. It would have an effect on the neurophysiological condition, so on the mind control. We also have modern wireless communications, subsurface communication. This is very interesting. So there are very advanced, mostly non-physical subterranean species. This could be sort of a method of communication with subsurface civilizations. And so the internal structures of the pyramid, this could be, let's say, tuning elements. So I have spent some time working on these as part of a master's degree. So this would be, let's say, a 3.2 megahertz structure, and it would be fed in using something called waveguides. So an empty tube, like a garden hose, this can be used to channel energy. So these are not for burial, the large ones, although later on they might have been used to collect energy. So here we've got another sample, a different configuration of waveguides. So the energy is not traveling through the copper, it's traveling through the empty parts between the two copper plates. So these are magnetic resonance types of technology, very advanced due to the scale, which is in the order of, let's say, 200 to 300 meters in height, associating with half of the wavelength. This would be a very high-tech global type of technology. Accumulation of power, communication, and also working with the population, weather control, and controlling earthquakes.
Uh, About 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, actually, I did some remote viewing here. And on top of the crystal, on top of the pyramids was a gold substance. What was strange is it's not the gold from this planet, it's from elsewhere. It's not, it is a special gold that, and I was told, I was given it was telecommunications, but it was also to do with stargates, portal creations. Yeah. I was also
It's
told
yeah.
there's beings living underneath them as well. So this,
And
it's,
so you know the list that I went through. This is on Google, so you can just
yeah.
search 1 megahertz and find the usages in ultrasound, in therapy, in basically weather control, scanning for minerals and oil under the surface. This is mainstream. This is now beyond dispute.
Mm,
We're using it. Now it's interesting that the structure is such a size and the proportions are all lining up with a very, very advanced static structure. No moving
mm.
parts by the very materials that are used and the shape. And so this is how satellite dishes or antenna are created.
The other thing is that they're built in a way that they could be hundreds of thousands of years old, and that shape would survive any reset. They're the only real things that can survive resets. All the people
Yes,
could be destroyed, all the buildings could be destroyed, but a pyramid is
would
made
say.
in such a way that it'd survive anything like that.
It's
Yeah.
a brilliant, brilliant design, and it's got reduced resistance to airflow.
Mm,
So a straight wall would get eroded as there are vortices caused by the wind flow, and the dust would naturally erode down the walls of a, let's say, structure, a cubical structure. The angle on the pyramid would allow a reduced resistance, and we wouldn't get the formation of vortices, maybe at the very tip, and that's the place that's really eroded. If it's natural or not, that could be questioned. But thinking of the big ones as just tombs, that really doesn't sit well with me.
no, no.
There's
The,
too great a precision.
I do believe that energy plants, and the main reason is for beings to come here through them. They're like portals, stargates, and when they're all connected, it used to be amazing to see. But obviously, this is going back 50,000 years, and I
Yeah,
believe that a lot of the Atlanteans came through there, through this, through the portal. But
something
but
very interesting.
the pharaohs never created them.
That is true. Yes,
They,
yes,
they
yes.
found them. They found them. Yeah.
Correct, correct, correct. They um, also had to rediscover some of the masonry techniques.
Hmm.
There's evidence of periodic droughts in Egypt. This is true all over the world, where
Hmm.
things got out of hand. 6, 7 years of drought, most of the population died from starvation. So a lot of their secrets were gone.
Hmm.
The pyramids, I'm not talking about many of the temples and wonderful cities that are left behind. No, no, no. The pyramids themselves. These are in a different league
Hmm.
in terms of the material and the craftsmanship and the mathematical knowledge gone in.
Yeah. Did you know that every rock is different?
Yeah.
Every rock. So how do you actually design a pyramid? And every rock is different. The only way is you've got a blueprint, you've got a plan, you've got it. You're an expert pyramid maker. So it's beyond. Everyone is it 20 ton? So every angle's different, every shape's different, every weight's well, the weight might be different, but that means that they wouldn't have made it there. They would have brought it, but they would have already had the actual design to piece it in like a jigsaw. And if one of them was out, they wouldn't be able to build it. Isn't that amazing?
The only evidence that they um, used to say that, well, yes, it was built in the time of Khufu and Khafre, seems to be some graffiti inside the structure.
Mm,
And going into the Akashic records is pretty clear These are very ancient, far more ancient than the new Egyptian kingdom. And so by the time the new Egyptian kingdom emerged out of the last ice age, these structures were already ancient. And so they would have access to the internal structures.
How many years would you put on it? I put
Let's say between 15 and 20,000 years.
mine is 900,000.
900,000, significantly older.
Yeah,
So can we agree they're certainly before the last ice age,
yeah,
10,000 years ago.
yeah.
They're not a modern creation.
No.
And then there are lots of more less impressive, less precise, and significantly smaller ones that they can be attributed to, let's say, the more recent Egyptian dynasties and kingdoms. They lack the incredible and impressive precision and the internal chamber
Uh,
structure.
I'm being told they could be 10 million years old and they still be the same. They're built that way that they don't decay. They just don't decay. But I think the outside decays, but all the rocks have been built in a jigsaw in a way that they'll last a lot longer than anything's built at the moment. So,
But that is
yeah.
true. It's a marvel of
Mm.
engineering,
Yeah.
and apparently these are built to to be an artificial replica of volcanoes. So the original pyramids or locations of power were at the foots of volcanic mountains, Mount Fuji, Mount Alborz, Mount Vesuvius, right? These were always known to be places of incredible power and divinity. So originally a volcano would be conical. As the lava is spread equally around the edges, we would have a cone. And it's impossible to replicate it in that size. So the size was reduced, the general shape was kept, turned into a four-edged or eight-edged structure that would perform the same type of function. So the natural grids of the earth are interlinked with the volcanoes. They
Mm.
still have significant power. But then there have been many invasions where over time the natural defenses of the planet have been weakened. So these pyramids are part of the artificial grid.
Mm. The other thing underneath them is beings, and they use the pyramids to get the energy from the ethanol. So they would probably realize that there'd be a reset, or everything would be wiped out. But the only things that survived are the pyramids, basically. That's
Pretty
nothing
much.
else. Nothing else survives. So did they build them? I don't know. Yeah. Did they
Um,
build them deliberately to live underneath in a to use the power from the ether above? It could be.
that does make sense. So the way
Mm,
that waves behave, how certain cavity chambers or waveguide structures can be used to fine tune and amplify and change the direction of radiation, this is well known.
mm,
So we're looking at something that we have rediscovered and is being used widely in today's technology. All that old stuff about, yes, it was built to bury one dude. No, 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 no. That doesn't really line up. When you see the incredible knowledge that has gone into it, it's far greater than a tomb. So
mm,
it's an energy device. It's an energy manipulation device.
mm,
The ones in Egypt, well, the last ones to claim building them are the Atlanteans.
mm.
Then, of course, the Egyptians would have claimed their glory, saying that these are ours. But I think they're very old. There's so many
I,
time resets. It's difficult to pinpoint
I know.
exactly.
I would say they've got multi-use, and I'd say also like med beds. Could be easy be
Right,
a med bed there.
right,
Yeah,
right in the, let's say, the big chamber, the king's chamber.
yeah.
And so it's
It,
pulling in energy from the environment, from the atmosphere, concentrating it in there. So that would be ultrasound.
Mm.
But ultrasound was commonly used in both Atlantis and Egypt.
Yeah.
So they would use big megalithic stones, a certain composition. So when you hit the let's say pillar, it would resonate. Not every
Mm.
stone does that, so the material is definitely important. Then underneath the temples, they would have running water, natural subterranean rivers, and once you would hit the megalithic pillar, the flow of the water would keep the resonance going, and so they could
Yeah,
shift them.
the water's like programmed, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, interesting, impressive stuff at a very
Mm.
large scale. And so now this is done electronically, the use of ultrasound. So it's both for diagnosis and for treatment.
Mm.
But it's not a new technology. I actually had a chance to talk to one of the people that are building modern ultrasound devices, talking about this old approach with the massive boulders. So the guy was kind of surprised, but it all made sense to him too. So yes, it is a legacy of a advanced human civilization, and it is very much so not a burial chamber. Now they were emulated as burial
I'm
chambers.
not sure human there. I don't think
Oh,
humans created them.
loosely human, kind of, sort of human. There's so many varieties of human.
Yeah.
But then they're more in Sudan,
Mm.
significantly smaller. And so just that conical shape, like the Vogel crystal, would pull in, let's say, the ether and concentrate it within the chamber.
Mm.
So, and
You,
perhaps
you,
that would be preservative.
yeah, you mentioned the table, King's Chamber, sorry, and like one granite rock there is 70 ton, and it's 300 feet from the floor.
Right.
Ow. I think the only way you could even think about that is a frequency to lift. That's the only thing I can think of. I can't think of anything else. So they lifted him with sound
Right.
and possibly chanting, maybe, or they had special equipment that could do
I,
frequency. Yeah.
honestly, it's advanced. It's too advanced to be explained away with
Mm.
copper chisels and an army of slaves. That
Yeah.
just really doesn't make sense. There's certain things that are not possible with
Mm.
manual labor. You need technology.
Yeah. A technology I think I've seen some videos where they can use sound to lift things in a small way. And if you probably have enough priests sort of thing chanting mantras and you get the right frequency, I'd say then you are basically changing the vibration of the material. When I was a child, I could make objects move by mind. I
Yeah.
really could. When I was angry, funny enough,
Hmm.
I could make a 10 kilo. I've made a 10-kilo clock move off its hinges just because I was angry.
Hmm.
Now, this is a chi energy. So if you can get chi energy into a sound wave from your voice, I would say a 70-ton rock is quite easy to do if there's 20 people doing it, I suppose. Yeah,
So the use of vibration,
yeah.
that kind of makes sense to nullify, let's say, the gravitational effect of 95% of the mass.
Hmm.
And then when it's 95% lighter, you could shift it manually around, like something floating
Hmm.
from the hooks of a crane. It's still possible to then gently shift it around.
Yeah, I think it's a trick of your chi energy as well. So it's a sound and it's your soul energy combined to lift them.
Yes,
A lot of
yes,
people just say it's the frequency energy. I think the chi energy sent in a direction deliberately with sound captures it, and as you say, it lightens the load basically. Yeah, turns it into
something
a balloon.
along these lines. And so
Yeah.
it seems that since the last periodic extinction event that humanity went through, the bodies have been reset And this ability has been diminished, but not completely eliminated. So, our wonderful audience could probably try out their telekinesis with a psi wheel. This is easily, you can do this, and you'll probably be surprised when it's done. On the tip of a, let's say, needle or screw or mechanical pencil with a sharp tip, you put a square folded piece of aluminium or aluminum if you're in the States, and or you can use a rolling paper, cigarette paper if you're in the UK, a roly poly, and you place it balanced on the tip, and you place it at about a hand's length distance away from you, and you can make it start spinning.
Mm.
We all can do this. And now, if you really want to make it scientific, so you know it's not the flow of air, you can put a jar around it, and it still works.
Mm.
But only for very tiny objects. Going for something like you described, the 10-kilo watch, that is
I,
rare.
I think what it is, I think people believe it's not possible.
Hmm.
And because they believe it's not possible, they're creating, the
They,
manifesting it's not possible. If you believe it's possible, you could probably move a 10-ton rock
yeah,
with the
yeah,
same energy. It's just the believing it's important. It's like when I do healing, I always say everything is possible.
yeah.
Everything. It's just let it go. Yeah. But I've never moved a 10-ton rock. I've destroyed a building once, but that was magic. That was. So we won't go into that one.
Were storms or fire involved?
It was I created a tornado inside a building. I did some
Makes
earth
sense.
magic, ancient earth magic, and what I didn't realize, I pulled all the air in the town into my building.
That'll do it. Yep.
While we were in.
Oh dear, oh dear. Well, you know better now.
Taught me a lesson. Taught me a lesson. But yeah, I agree. We can all make objects move,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I have noticed that the best power to use is anger from the soul. That seems to. It's a bit like, when you have got an impossible thing. I'll give you an example. I was in my mill here now, and I was told go to the front of the mill, and I thought, why? But I went to the front of the mill. As I went out on a slope, a girl had a 600-kilo pallet land on her head. She was about 5 seconds from popping. It really was. And I got there as it happened. I saw it and I ran and I lifted it. And that was that sort of inner energy to be able
Right.
to
Wow.
lift a 600-kilo pallet. You
Hmm.
can't lift it normally.
Oh,
And
oh
this
yes, yes,
this is
yes.
the energy you need, I think, to make big objects move. It's like an anger.
That sounds
It's like a
correct.
frustration and anger. That's the
Hmm.
only way you can do it. Just by thinking I'll move it, you could probably move small items, but you need to dig
You're
this.
spot on.
Yeah, this
You're spot on.
this yeah, it's this prehistoric energy that's inside you. You got to release that, and
It's
somehow,
elemental.
yeah,
It's elemental.
yeah,
Elemental forces. This is somewhat used in martial arts that have survived.
mm,
Uh, well, the more legendary stuff shows warriors flying around. This is not something that is done today for whatever reason. Personally, I'm of the understanding it's a modification in our energetic and physical structure. So, this batch of humans, us included, we're here to perfect other aspects of the whole design.
yeah,
But you mentioned the chi.
yeah. I mean,
Spot on.
you just triggered a memory I had.
Yeah,
But
go for it.
before I was going for me black belt, I was like brown belt, and this lad, they'd fixed a line out. A line out is where if you win all the fights on the day, you become black belt.
Correct,
He was 7 foot 20 stone, and he was fighting everyone who's like me. It's 12 stone. And I looked at the person who was organising it behind the table. I believe it. He went to the same club, and I was thinking they're fixing this, and I was really angry about it.
Yeah.
I was frustrated and angry because they're thinking I'm an easy. So he went for a throw. I ended up lifting him above my head. He's, what is it, twice my weight, near enough. And I just threw him because I was angry.
Hmm.
And I was the one who stopped his black belt. I only got 10 points for it, but that is the energy, that's martial art energy that you can trap, that you can beat. You can do anything with that. Yeah. But it is
To
anger.
clear,
It's
yeah,
frustration and anger that
yeah,
lets it out. Yeah.
the burst. Well, that's very effective.
Mm,
Um, so many have probably heard of, let's say, stories of a mother lifting a car off her child.
mm,
Same burst of energy.
yeah.
Um, and so this is also mentioned in it's the first key of the Kuji-Kiri, physical power associated with the root chakra. And these bursts of energy can be called using the. So you've done tens of thousands of reps of the meditation, but with this mudra, physical strength, 2, 3 times, deep breath, and you can feel it in the form of fire. Yeah,
I know I'd point that down
Vajra
when I'm doing
Voluntaris.
meditating. I do the same thing, but
Yeah,
pointing
yeah.
down to meditate.
So this is
Yeah,
associated with the
I
physical
do that.
body, and
Mhm.
then you add this, it brings in soul power. So physical and spiritual power, you can pull it, and you've got that burst of energy. It seems to be
It,
independent from the body also.
is it like Kundalini? Is it from the same place? Is it the same energy? Cool.
Um, Possibly yes. Possibly
Yeah.
yes. So it's the same source or reservoir of energy.
Mm,
Now it's been used for repurposed, so to speak, for survival, for let's say combat.
mm. I, I
Originally, it's reproduction.
I believe like your crisscross is on your tailbone, and I remember meditating here once. I ended up out of the matrix. I fell out of it by me by going into it. Don't ask me. It took me 6 hours to get back. So I do believe it's this hidden energy that we've got. It's to do with your crisscross, your kundalini. It's all in the same tailbone, root chakra. Yeah, I
Right.
agree with that.
So going back to the construction of a pyramid with a 100-ton or 70-ton rock, something like this is used. And
Yeah.
so this is now weakened in this iteration of human being. They were different. Their physical and energetic structure wasn't the same as us. And so you were picking up, are they human? Well, yes and no. So, in
Mm.
terms of the details of the vessel and the energy structure, they were very different. Uh,
I've just had a message. The stones brought the stones like a magnet. Does that make sense?
well, amplifying the effect, the more you build upon each other,
Uh,
the general effect is strengthened. So, the first ones would be more difficult, and then as you have more of them to amplify the whole
mm.
property. Perhaps, yes, this doesn't sound illogical. Yes, this very much so could be part of the process, using the stones also to strengthen the whole thing. Yeah,
Mm.
you've got more resonance. So, how to replicate this? Well, one way is to just go back and observe its construction. I got into trouble doing that, actually. I mean, as my remote viewing was coming fully online, watching people gets boring real fast. Seriously, people are sitting in their underpants, eating Cheetos, watching stuff on TV, being all disgusting. How much of this can you stomach? Very little. I got bored real quick, like, oh, to hell with
Mm.
this. Let's do something more interesting. So I went back to a point in reality where 60% of the construction was complete, looking for alien presence to see if they were involved in building it. So I came right in the middle of a little 3 personnel control chamber hovering about 50 meters off the ground.
Mm.
So they were keeping records, also interested in the same thing, observing the pyramid at the same point, and I scared the hell out of them. So, nature of beings praying mantis. Seems they are sticklers for data mining and keeping records. Although the whole show
See,
is
I, I've
theirs, yeah.
I've remote viewed. I've seen ships above them as well. I think the ships were helping with the frequency as well as the chanting of the priests. I think there was a combination.
I
Yeah.
saw small machines, size of a like a motorcycle, not
Mm,
very big, and very few people, not many, not those armies. And it seemed that in physical stature they were larger,
mm,
like twice the size of us.
mm,
Still people with the same, let's say, cloth, white cloths around their waist, like loin cloths, same warm weather, um, but not that many of them.
mm.
Not that many of them. And things were moving quick.
Yeah,
I got jumped by these observers, so I couldn't stay for very long, but that's as much as I got to see. Very impressive. So my conclusion from this remote viewing is made by people. It's made by people. Any alien presence is just out of interest and awe. Saying, oh my
mm,
goodness, look what these people are making. It's us, it's our ancestors. But there's something different about them.
mm.
So if we go back 25,000 years, that's now two iterations away of
I
humanity.
think what you're saying, the alien, but the us.
I'll accept that. Yeah, I think that yeah, they're not this.
Mm.
This
But
is different.
we are aliens to this planet. We were brought here a long time ago.
And we're the
We
result of a multi-100 million year process of hybridization with so many different things.
a
Yeah,
lot of experiments in that one.
lots of stuff. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but it's not just doom and gloom. The modern human is optimized for other stuff,
Mm,
especially spiritual warfare. Now, although they had outwardly manifestations that were more visible, I don't think they would be able to come across one of us and
I,
leave.
I,
Yeah.
I've remote viewed underneath, and there's like a point underneath as well. If you get what I mean, it's like a
Hmm. Like a
what's
double
this?
pointed crystal,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I've got.
but much deeper, though.
Oh, there, yeah. I think
Yeah,
it goes straight and then it goes down.
that makes sense.
A bit like your crystal you showed us. It's a bit like
Yeah.
that one. Yeah,
So as the energy is traveling,
yeah.
it won't be distorted too much. So it could go down to probably 50 kilometers or
Mm,
so, depending on how deep the crust is. And then down there, we would have some other point to concentrate the energy. So it could power an entire subterranean civilization.
mm. Easily. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
So what of those in, let's say, South America and Central America, or even North America, Mexico? They seem to be all around the place. If I'm not
So
mistaken, New Mexico. So on the, let's say, modern day United States too, they're spotted all over.
yeah, a lot of Egyptian symbols. So a lot. I do believe they're built by the same. Yeah, I think the same. I think some of them are the ancients, really old, and then the
Yeah,
other ones are like copies, if you get what I mean. But they're still
that
ancient.
makes
They're still ancient.
very very
I
very.
also think that they're connected to the sun and the moon. Yeah, definitely.
So the ones in the American continent, the chambers they've got more accessible entries, and
Mm,
so we know inside there some ritual stuff was going on. So like proper temples, it's not a place of worship. It's a place of energy work.
mm,
So your very presence within the confounds of this temple would have an effect on your energy, cause some
mm,
upgrades. Even today, the very old ones still have that effect. Now imagine you're aware of the exact properties of that energy and you're using it correctly. It would certainly amplify your reach, your
mm.
strength.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they're not Lemuria because Lemuria are more crystal than rocks. Yeah.
Different tech.
I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've seen them being built around me. I remote view no, went to a special opening of summit and all of a sudden I saw a Lemurian temple being built around me with 200-foot crystals.
Now, something interesting.
Yeah,
The Lemurian and Atlantean temples, which utilized crystals, are still active.
yeah.
My question is, are the pyramids still active? Personally, I think no.
I think some of them are.
Some of them. Okay, okay, I accept that.
Yeah,
But the network is
yeah,
down.
yeah. I have been trying to reactivate the network. So yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, so they are not natural.
Mm,
They're constructed,
yeah.
evident by the single blocks put together. They're not natural. They are a construction, and so it seems that they are affecting the natural energetic ley lines. I had a download that these were taken down to weaken the control system.
I think some of them have been taken and the link's gone. That's what, like a circuit board. I have seen pictures where they've seen energy coming out of them.
Oh yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen pictures, but I do agree if it's a circuit and all it needs is one pyramid out down and it starts becoming. But I think he got destroyed deliberately.
I think
Yeah,
so, and I think it's
yeah,
a good thing. I think it's a good thing for humanity.
yeah.
So one of the properties of the frequencies that
Mm,
match with the dimensions of these structures. So the ultra low frequency, this is something, first of all, far reaching. So a very few of these devices could influence the entire planet. One of the applications is mind control.
mm,
You see, and so if this was a mechanism of domination and control, taking them down would benefit humanity. So it's not a loss of something that was serving us very well to begin with. Time
mm.
of destruction around the Ice Age again. Something monumental happened. So the last iteration of humanity, which is us, can be free of the shackles.
Mm.
And so, in terms of evolution and growth, we have had an accelerated evolution in the last 10,000 years. And so that's why I'm of the firm belief that as humans, this iteration is the most capable. So we might not be able to lift rocks of 100 tons with our mind, but go into a meditative state and leave the confounds of the body, our energy structure is monumentally powerful.
Mm. The other thing when they were built, we had trees that were 1,500 miles high. We had a lot more oxygen, 7-10%, which is probably why the beings there were 15 foot high, 20 foot high. So if you've got more oxygen, what sort of power could you have? If you get what I mean. If you think about it logically, yeah. You're breathing more oxygen in, you're taller,
You've got
your
a
mind must be,
greater biomass, more
yeah.
cells in the body. So the body is more massive,
And
greater weight.
the
Yeah,
brain would be more
yeah,
connected.
larger.
Yeah.
So that part of the, let's say, manifestation ability linked to the body would be in proportion much stronger.
Yeah.
So we're
Mm.
not that large, we're not that heavy. But now, again, looking at comparative, say, events where we have the ability to compare spiritual and energetic abilities, modern day magicians are significantly stronger,
Mm.
significantly stronger than anything that has been among man to this point. So we are
I,
very much so the peak.
I think you could make a healing pyramid with copper tubing, but I think you got to get the angle right. I think the angle is the important part of it all.
I've seen lots of these, yeah. So people
Yeah.
put these tubes together
Yeah,
in,
they're
say,
normally
inside the
plastic.
room.
They're normally plastic, but why don't they just do copper piping? Wouldn't that be better?
I believe
Makes
so.
sense. Yeah.
Although um, a material that's similar to plastic called Delrin, this is
Mm.
used in creation of waveguides.
Yeah.
So again, if somebody really knew what they were doing and had the correct dimensions of the pipe to the length and so on, diameter versus length. That's how waveguides are constructed. So perhaps they would get the correct effect. It would be incredibly impressive if they actually knew the mathematics of it. It's a difficult field.
Mm.
Electromagnetics is non-trivial, but perhaps they got it through, let's say, the Akashic records, or they found the correct solution, the final solution. They didn't do the number crunching. They just knew intuitively these proportions are going to work. Went through a few iterations and got it right. That
Yeah.
is very possible.
I once made, this is digressing, I once made an inflatable DZ 3D, and I made it a sample, and it was perfect. And I gave it the tool maker, and he said, "How did I make it? The next 50, I couldn't get it right." I couldn't get it right this time.
It's,
Yeah.
it's fascinating how it's possible for all of us in certain meditative states or zones of consciousness, we're able to download full solutions.
Mm.
This is not the physical brain doing its number crunching and going through iterations of design and trial and error and troubleshooting and optimization. This is a perfect, complete solution. Boom, you've got it. And then you've got a window of time to work with it, or it's gone.
So, if you were making this pyramid, would you do copper tubing or would you do the tubing you mentioned, and why?
I would go one better. I wouldn't use any physical substance. I'd start the construction in the fourth dimension and make it susceptible or suitable to attract energy from all dimensions, including primordial light.
Mm.
So we have no physical substance to be degraded or destroyed or damaged. So sacred geometry,
Mm.
sacred geometry at its finest, and then make it in a way that the reverberations or the effects of it would also include physicality, third dimension.
Yeah. Well, sacred geometry is a pyramid in
Yes,
Egypt.
yes,
That is
yes,
sacred
yes,
geometry.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I
Like
wonder if
it's
I wonder if they did something in for spiritually, like you
Oh yes,
mentioned,
I think
and that
so.
was the blueprint, and then they brought it down, and then they put the rocks where the energy was, basically. Mm.
That does make sense.
Mm.
That does make sense, and that process of again, quote unquote, inspiration. It's never stopped. We have that too.
Yeah.
So you get an entire, let's say you're a musician or a songwriter, you get the whole thing, or you're a novelist, you get the whole story,
Mm.
or like myself, you're an engineer, you get the end product, and then you got to sell it to people who don't know how you've got it. So you got to reverse engineer it and say, oh, this happens here, but you already have the final result. That's very much available to every human being.
Mm.
Makes sense. They knew what they were building, the complete thing before it was done.
Mm-hmm.
So
So,
there are other examples like the step pyramid or the red pyramid. I think they were trying to imitate something that was much, much older. So the
mm.
Grand Pyramid is not the final one. It's the very first one, singular one, and they tried to imitate it.
Like this one here, we got go into the smoke, like that one there. Is this to create waves, frequency waves?
So
What's this?
those types of additional cavities, or let's say not cavity, but a branch added. These
Yeah,
are tuning elements.
yeah, like a
Mm,
wave sort of
Yeah, yeah,
tuning
yeah.
wave.
So you can basically say there's a shape of a balloon. It's called a
Mm.
radiation pattern. So you want a certain type of balloon, maybe longer, maybe wider. And so these tuning elements, when you place them with different lengths at different locations, it allows you to do some fine tuning on the shape of the radiation
Mm.
pattern. And so that's why I'm thinking this stuff is way too advanced for a culture that's pretty much still used livestock for carrying stuff around. They had the wheel, but they did not have steel.
Mm.
Right, so it doesn't make sense. The level of sophistication doesn't match anything we have after the Ice Age. So it's a peak of civilization, much more ancient.
Yeah. I was bringing this other one here. My son bought me this one here. Yeah.
Is that a cloud buster?
I don't know. I don't know what it's actually. But what I did with this, and people, if you do remote viewing, it might be a good idea to buy one of these. And I put it on my third eye when I was remote viewing, and it was like, you know, the old tellies in the 70s, 80s where you want to watch a football match, and you end up connecting the aerial to a ladder to get the reception better. It was like getting better reception. I put it on, and all of a sudden I could see it clearer.
Yeah.
So just ask little tools like this. Not sure how it works. It's like a brass looking material underneath,
Yeah.
like a like a crown chakra ball there. But all of a sudden it amplified. I think these are made accidentally. And I think they become a tool that is like an ancient tool, but the person who made them was just doing it as a nice decorative. But they didn't
Um,
realize that they actually created something.
well, I know of a very, very elevated magician and
Yeah,
practitioner. The gentleman's name is Christopher Jacobs, and he's got a store called The Lifting, and he makes them, and he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
I've bought some of his products, and personally, I can vouch for them. They work.
Mm,
So he's got access to the Akashic records too. Very, very capable, incredibly
mm.
capable remote viewer. Was in the secret program, so he's a super soldier also. And a delightful human being. So I just want to shout out to my friend Christopher. Random, he's not paying me. I just love the dude. But yeah, if you wanna get something that works, because there's always stuff that looks pretty. As you
It,
mentioned, Philip, the
it,
angle
it,
has to be right.
it is one here that's got copper wire in it,
Yes, 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 yes.
and
And
it's
then
got a
in
copper wire.
in in the pouring of the resin, you add even frankincense and sage, myrrh,
Mm.
little shavings of gold.
Seen that one there? I didn't. You know the one I
Mhm.
showed you. I didn't see all
Yeah.
that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And there's basically Atlantean cubits built in. The cubits are the standard of measurement of length, used also in the Great Pyramid, which is Atlantean, of course. But they twist them around into certain patterns. So these are also built inside. Some pretty amazing effects. So in terms of, like, say, the usage would be cleansing your home, reducing electromagnetic interference, EMF.
Yeah.
They seem to be very effective. So I've
And
tried them. I've had
yeah,
friends
the
that have
what
recommended. Yeah,
and the one I use amplifying
amplify.
my third eye, amplifying your chi energy, I suppose. Everything can be amplified.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Mm,
so then we've got, so if you're putting the base on the third eye, that would
yeah.
make perfect sense.
Yeah. I didn't expect it when I did it though. I just thought, yeah, when you're spiritual, you just look outside the book and you think, "Oh, I'll just stick that on my third eye and just see if I do anything." And now, if I want to go anywhere, if I want a holiday while I'm meditating, I just stick that on and I see it clearer. I don't see it in black and white
That's
anymore. I
just
see it in color.
is so amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, let me just stick that on here and see what happens. Boom, boof. Wow.
Well, the school last week, I used to stick that on, and I could speak
Yeah,
to aliens. It was like my own mobile
it's just
to Andromeda if I wanted to go to
it's
one.
really, really, really amazing the properties of some of these structures. And so until you try, you're never gonna find out.
Exactly, that's true. Yeah. I suppose you could build. You could. build these in the spiritually. You could actually build these in
That would be
4D,
that.
couldn't you?
So my instinct would be to go there.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
physical domain, first of all, is you're working with in order to get the correct proportions, you'd have to work with megaliths.
Mm.
Oh, to hell with that. I don't have a crane that can lift that kind of stuff or the money to do it. But then putting energetic constructs and manifesting them in the astral, that is so much easier.
And it's trial and error then, and it's quite instant. It's quite quick, so you can change
You
the
got it,
angle.
Alam.
Yeah,
You,
yeah.
you got it. You got it.
Mm.
It's not like physical reality where you got to wait for the damn thing to heat up. No, no,
Yeah,
no. It's just pretty instant. You move it around and you get, oh, here we go. That's perfect. Okay, now let's twist it around and add more sides. Now let's add it with more fire or more water.
mm.
Let's give it some excess Akash, see what that does to the physical body down here. Oh, yeah.
Something I remember. I think the pyramids have got more than four sides, aren't they?
Eight
They're not
sided.
four
Yes, that's
sides.
correct.
No, they're
So
not four.
it's
Yeah.
not just a straight smooth side. No, they're concaved a little bit. So yeah, it's a very complex
Is
structure.
it? Have they got six or eight sides to it?
Eight
If I rem
sides.
eight sides, yeah. I remember seeing that, and that's it's a bit strange as well. But these are people who knew how to build pyramids, and it just it makes you wonder if is this from other lands maybe? Did they come here and do that? And are we the people that were left behind? Did we originate where they came from? Makes you
Um,
wonder.
well, uh, the knowledge that has been used could have come from anywhere.
Hmm, true.
And I'm not getting a very positive vibe from these structures. They're an instrument of enslavement.
I think what you mean is it depends who's operating them, isn't it?
That is
Yeah,
true. That is
yeah.
true. But they were not constructed. So think of them as the fences of the prison,
Mm,
but a prison of the mind. And so
yeah.
now that they're not functioning, this is a good thing for us.
Mm,
And I hope that it is not reverse engineered or re engineered once again to the same effect.
yeah.
So imagine this type of ultra low frequency waves generated in one point of the planet and will affect the entire global population. That is not a
Mm,
good thing. Free will is sacred.
mm, yeah,
Yeah,
true. I do believe there's other purposes, but that's probably the dark one, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And probably if they wouldn't have thought it was dark, they would have thought, well, I'm the ruler.
Exactly. So they would have seen themselves as ranchers. And
Mm,
of course, one of the tasks of a rancher is keeping the fences up.
yeah.
And so they would think that's an amazing thing.
Mm,
Not to the poor cows that are being fenced in. So
yeah.
there is that kind of a negative way of looking at humanity by some species.
Mm,
But again, we are the mighty humans. We're going to have the last laugh.
exactly. Yeah, true. Have we anything else about pyramids? I think we've done everything, haven't we?
Well, as much that comes to mind. But asking our wonderful audience if they want to raise questions or if they have their own understanding through remote viewing or other types of research, please share. I mean,
Mm.
we'd be delighted to hear. And
I
probably we could do yeah more on this.
I think we agree it's multi-purpose pyramids. It's not just one thing. Yeah,
Correct, correct.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Which is good, I suppose. Okay. Someone did ask a question, person you know, Sophie. She's still got pain in the back on the neck. I did remote view, and I think there was some sort of Joker demon linked to the energy. I tried to bind it. They tried to disappear and hide in the soil, but I'd already brought my plant spirits with me, so. But
Yes.
then it went, and then it's come back again.
Ah, regenerative tech.
Yeah,
Okay. Um, so you want to trap, you want to spring the trap.
yeah.
Um, get Sophie to full power at 100%. make sure nothing is under stress in the internal structure, and then you start going out 150, 200, 250, 300. Around this zone, you reactivate the hidden portal. And don't go any further than 1,000%. It is damaging to the body. Once you see the portal, you've got it by the cojones, yes? And then you treat it the way it deserves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hidden portal. Some of these entities are sneaky.
Well, I took a parasite out as well because the pain used to move, and I thought that was it, and then it came back again, and I was thinking,
Yeah, try the supernova thing.
supernova. Yeah. Okay.
It
And
works.
if anyone's asked any questions and we've missed it, we'll do it next week.
Next
We
time.
can.
Next
Yeah,
time. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah.
So, shall we do our singing bowls?
Yeah, I'll do the. Oh, I'll put a pyramid in. I'll put my pyramid in. Yes.
Okay.
It might make a rattle, but it's fine. Yeah.
Rattles are welcome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah. Oh,
Good,
have a
good,
good
good.
have a good New Year. I think
Thank
that's
you.
it,
You
isn't it?
too. And you
Yeah.
wonderful people. We love you all. Thank you
Mm,
for being here. And yes, Happy New Year. May 2025 be um, something that is beholden to you, that gives you everything that you deserve, and
mm,
lots of happiness and well-being and growth and excitement, all the good things.
mm.
Bless you all. And my wonderful friend, thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.
That was
Take
a
care.
good one. That was good, wasn't it? I enjoyed that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, take care of yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
All the
Bye,
best.
everyone.
Bye bye. Bye.
Bye.